Welcome back to Access. I'm Ken.
And I'm Nicole.
Now we're going to be talking about Philippians, Paul's letter to the community at Philippi. Philippi is a city in Macedonia, which is in the kind of northern, as Nicole says, hilly region above Greece. Like today we know it more from the terrible wars that have taken place in this last century with Serbo-Croatia kind of. But in that day, it was a more peaceful time, and it actually produced.
It was a powerhouse.
It was. Philip of Macedon produced Alexander the Great.
Well, Philippi is named after Philip of Macedonia.
It all fits together.
Yeah.
And Alexander, who truly,
was a murderer.
Was great. We get back to that little tiff, which
I won.
Could lose again, and I feel like I have a great sense of control around it. It's we were just talking about how things work in my home life with household codes and gender, and we never really kind of settled on what I got to decide. I do get the clicker most of the time, the remote.
Oh, that's good.
So that's good.
Good for you.
All right, back to Philippi before I could just get in terrible trouble. In Philippi, we have letters written in about 50, and we know in this letter Paul is writing from jail. So Paul went through several imprisonments. We believe in this letter that it's his Roman imprisonment that he writes. So he's in a Roman jail somewhere, stinking, rotting place. And yet,
most jails are Roman this time.
But in Rome.
But he never went to Rome.
Acts says he does.
Oh. Okay.
We'll edit all that out.
No, okay, he's in a Roman jail.
So he's in prison. He's in prison.
He is.
And we just don't know that much. And not just we, but
that's why it's
royal we.
Hard to kind of construct this is one of those times where it's hard to fit the letters of Paul's with Acts. Yeah.
So he's writing from prison, but the fascinating thing is even though he's in prison and things are really, really hard, the letter is by far the most joyful.
Oh, man.
Well, people love the letter of Philippians. Why don't we hit the themes, since that's as much as I can do on history.
Okay, so the themes for the Philippians are the humbleness of Christ, which we'll talk about perseverance, keep going, keep fighting the fight, good fight, running the good race. The race metaphor is in Philippians. And beware of kind of outside distracting forces. And that kind of goes along with the perseverance.
People throwing you in jail.
People throwing you in jail. Teachers coming in and kind of
messing things up. Paul's always worried about outside teachers.
Well, I think there's an interesting comparison between Galatians and Philippians, where the communities are actually struggling with a lot of the same issues. Yeah. But I'm not sure what the Philippians did that makes Paul still pretty happy with them. Or how they're handling the situation that makes them happy, that makes Paul less angry.
Slightly different than believe like I will, or crush. You will be crushed.
I crush you.
That's what I was going for. I crush you.
It doesn't work on camera.
It does. I was noticing that. Well,
it works for us.
Crush you.
Someday we'll show you. I crush you.
How many people have talked about the kenosis hymn and have finished it up with? I will crush you.
I think no one.
We're doing unique, cutting-edge things here, people. I hope they appreciate it.
They won't.
So, did you have thoughts about the kenosis hymn? It's so famous.
I think you summed it up well.
All right.
Done. Love it.
That's rare she says that. So.
So our last story, there's not really stories in the New post-gospel. There's not really.
Just text that you want to know.
So in the 4th chapter, it's there, and he talks about that there's some problems in the church about 2 elders that are fighting who are both women. Okay, who are fighting and like there's kind of fractions forming in the church behind these two, and that to help them be together and also to rejoice always.
Yeah.
It's mirroring the first part where Paul is in chains but he is rejoicing, and so he's kind of saying, you guys should also be rejoicing always.
It's kind of shaming.
Praise the Lord.
Like, if I can rejoice in chains, can't you people rejoice in your little tiffs? You don't hear it that way?
I guess I don't.
Yeah.
I think because so much of the letter is not shaming.
That's true. That's true.
That there's this positive thrust throughout the whole thing.
Alright, so, read Paul in a nice way.
Yeah, like if this was in Galatians,
it'd be the hammer.
It'd be the hammer. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's in Philippians. And so you get this, I think you just get this nice uplift, being like, we all have issues. We all have our own sets of either literal or metaphoric chains.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we may be bound, but we are not crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Crush you. We are not crushed. And that these chains cannot keep us from rejoicing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think that's how it's
And
really
I mean, I don't know how you feel when you go into a new church. We visit churches and go to different places.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that at least emotionally, this is one of the things that, I look for in a congregation.
Yeah.
Do I perceive that, these people get this rejoicing piece? It's not to be, facile and just kind of fat, dumb, and happy with,
No.
but there's a sense of joy. And
authentic joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, one of the things that really attracted me to TPC, and I don't mean to be like tooting our
own horn.
Well, I wasn't part of R when I got
Yeah.
here, was that people genuinely seemed joyful and wanting to be here. And
good job.
it is. Good job, guys.
I mean, I feel like that. I feel joyful here.
Yeah, and I love that this community, like, the joyfulness is contagious.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things about community that I could love to say about this place, but we'll save for a different video. But yeah, that rejoice always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say,
Rejoice.
All right. To Colossians.